So, why do STAAR scores matter? The reason we're here today. I think three main reasons I want to identify. First, we know that student achievement is associated with long-term student outcomes. Simply, test scores give us a window into how well we're preparing our students for post-secondary success and opportunity. Our own research has identified eighth grade reading as a key indicator of students' likelihood of attaining a post-secondary credential. And we all know how foundational third grade reading is. Second, STAR scores help us both to identify bright spots and success stories, and also to find areas where we need to continue pushing and improving. Critically, those bright spots help us find models, programs, and innovative practices we can learn from. Those are the proof points of what can drive student success that we can learn more about and figure out how to scale to bring that success to more students across our region. And I want to be clear that these principles remain true no matter what test we're talking about. Trista will talk about we'll discuss the upcoming changes to Texas's assessment system later on, but those 3 points I just talked about why STAR matters and why testing matters, remain valid no matter the system. Lastly, before we dive into the numbers, let's talk for a couple minutes about how STAR scores are determined. This is going to get a little wonky, so bear with me. I'm happy to answer any questions this explanation might raise. An important principle in test design is the ability to compare scores year over year. We want to be able to, for example, track whether we're making progress in supporting more fourth graders to meet grade level standards in math this year than last year, or the year before that, or 8 years ago. But making tests is hard. It would be a pretty unrealistic expectation that all 40 questions on the fourth grade math test this year would be exactly the same difficulty as the 40 questions on last year's fourth grade math test, much less the fourth grade math test from 2018. To account for these differences in test difficulty and design across years, the Texas Education Agency uses a statistical process called equating. I won't bore you with all the details, but I just want you to know that equating takes the number of questions a student gets right on the test in a given year, what's called their raw score, and places it on a standardized scale that is comparable year after year. TEA does this every year for every test so that we can compare scores from 2026 to those from 2024 or even those from 2018, even though the tests looked very different back then. Back then, students were still taking STAAR with a number 2 pencil. Though these scale scores are comparable across years, the number of questions, again, the raw score, needed to get to a particular scale score or performance level may shift slightly year to year, taking into account variations in the tests themselves. In the middle of the slide there, you'll see an example. On the fourth grade math test this year, a student who got 27 out of 40 questions right received a scale score of 1615, falling into the meets grade level performance bucket. The fourth grade math test in 2024 was apparently a little more difficult, though, so to receive essentially the same scale score, a student only needed to get 26 out of 40 questions correct. This also fell into the meets grade level performance bucket. Equating happens for just about every test you can think of. As another example, without equating, we wouldn't be able to talk about or compare SAT scores over time because that 1400 I got way back in 2007 wouldn't mean the same thing as a 1400 today. Just go ahead and go to the next slide for me. Thank you. So, to summarize, to conclude, why do we need equating? Equating ensures that our scores are fair year over year, placing all students on a level playing field. It is also necessary for translating complex scores into plain language we can all understand. Are students meeting grade level standards or not? Without equating, we'd have no way of tracking or comparing student progress over time, which is one of the main goals of standardized tests of any kind. So to summarize, equating is the statistical process that lets us compare STAAR, SAT, whatever scores over time across test administrations and is a completely normal process. In fact, it isn't just normal, it's necessary. And that's enough introduction. Let's turn to why you're all here. How did our students do on STAAR in 2026? I think there are four key headlines I want to share with y'all. First, that our students set a new record high in reading achievement across the region, breaking the previous record set just last year. An all-time high percentage of our students are meeting grade level standards in reading. Second, math scores have continued to make steady progress, and we've finally nearly fully recovered to pre-pandemic levels of math achievement. Third, Houston region students showed growth across most grades and subjects, with Algebra 1 showing the highest year over year growth, with an 8-point gain in the proportion of students meeting grade level expectations. And finally, Black and Hispanic students have made especially notable progress in reading achievement compared to they were before the COVID-19 pandemic. This progress is noteworthy and should be celebrated, but gaps between more and less advantaged student groups in our region still remain far too large.